I am an illustrator in 12-step recovery, and I've had an ongoing project where I've been using words from the original big book of Alcoholics Anonymous written by Bill Wilson in the 1930s and comparing them to a 1930s dictionary to get more meaning out of what those sentences may have meant when they were written. But after I had done that, I noticed there were still plenty in the big book that seemed to contain messages that were embedded, if you will, in stories. They were embodied in stories that he told. These were imaginary stories about someone on a mountaintop, a man with no legs, triumphant arch, uh, someone in quicksand. These were teaching stories, and that's what I mean by a metaphor. He's telling you a story, not necessarily because it's true, but because it it proves a principle. Here's one on page 43. It's called The Wringer. He had felt only the first nip of the wringer. Most alcoholics have to be pretty badly mangled before they really commence to solve their problems. Now, most people probably looking at this may only dimly know what a wringer is. I'm going to have to tell you, or this drawing won't make any sense. Back when Bill was writing, laundry, I think they said the average homemaker spent 3 hours a day on laundry. Couldn't just throw it into a washer and then toss it in the dryer and then fold it up. It's ready to go. No, you had to hand wash things in big tubs with water and then rinse it in clean water. And then this was a miracle invention. It's two hard steel rollers coated with a thin layer of rubber, but it worked a miracle for the average homemaker because they could take drenching wet, a towel out of the rinse water. They could feed it between these two rollers. I showed a crank to kind of help you understand what you're looking at. The majority of them by Bill Wilson's time were run by an electric motor. And man, that motor was the kind of motor that does not stop. It's a very powerful motor. So these rollers are steel rollers. They're not, the gap between them is not flexible. They are meant to really bite down and apply a lot of force on that wet towel to squeeze all the water out of it so that it comes out the other side damp, and you can just hang it up and it'll dry much more quickly because you've wrung it out. Prior to this, one thing homemakers had to do was to wring out every piece of laundry by hand, which took forever, twisting that towel and getting the water to drip out. Now you could just run it through the wringer. So what is he talking about when he said we felt only the first nip of the wringer? Most alcoholics have to be pretty badly mangled before they really commence. Well, when I was a child, my grandmother had a wringer. It was the type with an electric wringer, and she still did her laundry with it. Even though this is many decades after the Bill Wilson wrote the big book, these were still used by folks out in the country, or people with not a ton of money would still use it because it was a great machine. Well, I was watching her work,